Hello everyone, it's Carla here, the Stitchy Witch, and I'm here for another update video of my projects, my works in progress. It's the 30th of April and I thought if I don't get it done today, it's just going to be too late, isn't it? Because tomorrow's May and I really need to get this done. So it has been a whole month more or less since I last did an update. So I was really keen to come back and show you how much work I'd done over the past month. To be fair, it hasn't been too bad a month with regards to my stitching. I've been plugging away quite nicely, still sort of focusing on my pieces that I've chosen to focus on for the most part. But I do have a little surprise because I have a little new start, which is, just a very small new start. Nothing to get too excited about. But yeah, it was just something that I decided day before yesterday, I think it was, that I wanted to have a go doing. And I think with working on large pieces so frequently, you kind of get to a point where you think, I really want to do something small now, just so that I can have a little break from the large pieces, because I'm one of those stitchers that likes to just do large pieces a lot. And yeah, it can get quite tiring after a little bit, especially as when you pick large projects, it's going to take a long time for them to get finished. So yeah, that just goes without saying. So anyway, I'm sitting at my desk at the moment. It's Sunday morning and I'm trying to set up in a sort of semi-decent way so that you can get to see my pieces. It's been sort of difficult trying to set up lately because I've had family visiting and everything's just sort of all over the place. So I found a nice quiet spot at my desk so I can show you what I have done. And it's not going to be a very long video, I'm afraid, because I haven't worked on a lot of pieces. I've done quite a lot of work, but on very few pieces. And so yeah, it's not going to be like super long. But I have done some really good progress, so I'm quite keen to get started and to show you, what I've done. I'll put a picture up on the screen to show you what each project looked like last month, and then you can sort of see what progress I've made. So let's see, I think I've got, how many whips have I got to show you? 1, 2, 3, three projects. I feel like crying now. 3 projects and a little new start. But that's okay because it's just one of those things. I've not had the headspace to be rotating like 10 whips. I'm not really that keen on working truly monogamously, but I do like to vary a little bit. So I like to spend like a couple of days on a project at the most and then come back and work on something a little bit different. So here we go. First one I'm going to show you, I'm going to put up a picture on the screen right now to show you what this project looked like at the end of last month. This is called Home for the Holidays and it's by Thomas Kinkade and it's a mini. And the reason I'm doing a mini of Thomas Kinkade is because I liked the mock-up. I thought the mock-up was just fine of this picture. Also, if you're wondering what this is just like a crafting tray, which I use sometimes to craft, sometimes to have my dinner on, and it's quite useful for a lot of things. So I kind of got it balanced here so I can spread out my whips and show them to you. So up we have Thomas Kinkade, Home for the Holidays. It is a Christmas piece. I worked on this one in when did I start this piece? I started this piece in November 2022, and so that means I've had how many months work? January, March, 4 months. Did I start at the end of November? Oh gosh, I can't remember. I just tend to not write these things down. So let's have a look at the progress I've made. Here we go. So what I've got here, try and get it on the screen properly. What I've got here is 25 count easy guide fabric, and I started working at the bottom of this chart here in this corner and I worked upwards, and this is where I started on the corner, and I went up and then I left a big gap in the middle. I got to about here and then I decided, oh, I want to go to the top. So I kind of jumped to the top of the chart and started working down. And as you can see from the previous picture, I filled in that whole gap in the center there. So that's looking pretty good. So this whole gap in the center I have finished. Just look at that sky. So I'm going to try and bring it a bit closer, and hopefully the camera will behave and you can see more. Am I going to get this angled right? Yeah, there we go. So you can see more of this lovely sky just here. Is it focusing? Yeah. And yeah, this is just, let's see if I can hold this one up a bit more here. So there we've got the horse and the two people in the carriage. And I think it's not bad for the whole, you know, mini version, because it is impressionistic, sort of. It's that I don't think the details have to be the sharpest in this kind of design. So I think I've gotten away with the mock-up for a mini. Now, so what's going on here is I kind of worked to this point. I kind of got my square, and then I thought, so this is the whole size of the chart, okay? And then I was thinking most of the whole top part from this line upwards going up is all going to be sky, and that might actually kill me. So my reasoning was, if I kind of divide two sections, so I've got sky up to here and then the lower part, which is all detail and probably lots more confetti, I can then switch from doing confetti down on this section and nice sort of less confetti and more sky block colors up here. So rather than just doing one part of the chart and then going crazy, I can bounce back from bottom to top, top to bottom. That's how I feel about it at the moment. It can change, because I've been known to change my mind quite a lot when it comes to where I'm going to stitch and what I'm going to do. I think a lot of us are like that, actually. I've heard a lot of floss tubers say, this is my plan, and then next week it's a different plan. But that's just fine, because the whole joy about crafting is that you don't have to stick to a plan. You can just say, well, this is what I want to do, but maybe tomorrow I don't. And, you know, there's more fun that way. It remains more spontaneous, more interesting than if you just say, I'm sticking to this no matter what I feel like, because, you know, our feelings change. So yeah, I'm really happy with the progress I've made on this. I'm really loving the whole colors up here with the greens and the purples down here. Very interesting scene, I think. So that's my progress, and I think I've hit about 40%, which is pretty good since November. So that's 40%. I'll be heading to 50%. So I think once I get this part, I think that's the middle of the chart, actually, just there. Once I get all this bit down here done, say about that wide, it'll be 50%. So I'm pretty happy with that. That's pretty good. So let's see, next month, I actually did slow down a little bit in the last week or so, because I started getting busier with non-stitching stuff, and I was also doing a bit of knitting as well. So with that combined, there was a bit less stitching going on some pieces, and this was one of them. But that's okay, because I don't have to sort of keep up with everything all of the time. As long as I feel like I'm making some progress somewhere, I'm pretty happy. So that's my Christmas chart, which I'm not sure now if it'll be finished for Christmas. No idea, but I'm not even going to try and put a goal on it now. Initially I had a goal on it, and I've changed my mind about the goal, because yeah, maybe some other things. And please, and you know, please don't get too distressed at all my threads hanging. It's just the way I like to work, and it works for me. I've never had a problem where I've had to, my threads can get a bit tangled, but I've never had a problem where they've got so tangled I've had to cut them or battle with them too much. They just look messy, but I've got so used to handling them now that when I'm actually stitching, it's not a problem for me. So let's get this the right way up. Now this second one I'm going to show you is my sad fairy. Oops. This is my sad fairy, and let's see if I can unroll this properly to show you. And she is just adorable. She's also on 25 count. Let me just cover up my tray. And yeah, I'm going to put a picture up to show you where she was last month and what we're looking at today. Let's try and get a bit straighter. So obviously all this section around here has already been done in the last couple of years. Oh my god, look at those. Are these stargazer lilies? I think I was told. They're beautiful, aren't they? With all those pinks. So this is my Heaven and Earth design, which I started a couple of years ago. And I have got to about 45%, I think, on this one. And if I move it along here, you will see that I reached the end of the chart. And most of my progress in April has been here on this section. This is where I've got most of the progress done. So I've been doing some diagonals because since I started diagonals, I really kind of like them a lot. But I tend to flit a bit now between diagonals and block stitching. So it's mostly going the diagonal path, but there is a little bit of block stitching as well that's going on sometimes. So that's not a huge amount of progress, but where I have got the progress, I think, is around this part here, where you see the rope coming down, and I haven't yet touched the bottom here, where she's sort of leaning on her arms. Let's see if I can do is it that way? There we go. We're totally in sync now. This part here, where you see she's folding her arms, I haven't gone back to that at all since last year. But that's okay, because I'm concentrating on this side of the chart. And also, I think here we're going to see another wing coming out. Same as this one that you can see here, a bit of a wing. There's going to be another wing coming out this side, and that's going to look really cool, I think. So yeah, lots of threads hanging again, which is fine. I'm using Q snaps at the moment for all my whips because I think I'm just so used to using Q snaps. Love using Q snaps. They're just great. Sometimes there'll be a Q snap which is so tight that it threatens to rip the fabric. So I've been using like pieces of material in between the Q snap itself and the actual fabric that I'm working on. If it is really too tight, because I've got so many of them, I try to go and find one that's not so tight and use that instead. But you know, you can get the occasional piece that you attach that can be really tight, and yeah, it's a little bit of a pain because you worry about, I mean, you don't want to rip your fabric, do you? Nobody wants to rip their fabric. It's just, imagine ripping it after all that work. I'm sure it's happened to people, and it's just, it would be so regretful and such a shame. So I'm really trying to be careful with that and not have my fabric ripped. So Sad Fairy's come along really nice, and I'm so happy to have gotten along to the end of the chart here. She's just lovely, and I also can't wait to get the other side of her head done, because I seem to have been looking at this little vignette of her for so long. It's like there's no more of the picture, but there is more of the picture, and I just can't wait to see it. So yeah, Sad Fairy by Heaven and Earth Designs. It is the regular, by the way. I think there is also a mini now. There was not a mini when I purchased this chart, so this is what I have. So very happy with this lady, and she's going to get a lot of attention, I think. Well, I actually wasn't going to make her a focus piece this year, and she isn't actually a focus piece, but she's kind of been worked on in between my focus piece, which is my big piece, which again I'm going to show you now. And if I can lift it down from my shelf. Now I'm going to keep it on the Q snap because it is not a supersized, it's a large chart, and I don't want to, you know, be trying to grapple with the whole thing. So let's have a look at the progress before, which I've forgotten to put up, and let's see what I've got done in April. So in April, I've continued with my diagonal going down, and I'm really happy to say that it was such a delight to get down to this bottom part here, where you can see these gorgeous little flowers. There's like a little flower garden. If you look at the actual picture itself, there's a little flower garden here which looks absolutely adorable. And here is supposed to be, is that little plant pot? Yeah, there's like a little planter there. Now this is actually the most striking, the most discernible when you have it up far away from you. When you look at it really closely, all you see is bunches of pixelated colours. You cannot really grasp what things are. But the further away you have them, the further and further away, the more discernible these images are. And I think that's kind of the whole point, right? Because at the end of the day, they're going to go on the wall where people are going to look at them from a certain distance. And that's where they're to be admired. So the other part I've done, apart from this whole section, if you want to compare it to the other picture, is here. And can you see, because it mightn't be, I'm just kind of at the point where it's kind of visible, but a little bit, you know, difficult to make out, is some chairs and table. So there's a couple of chairs, a couple of seats there. There's the top of a seat here, and there's some white tables. So this is all going to be part of the, is it like the restaurant, kind of the cafe tables, the cafe layout. So this is this is the exciting bit down here, but it is also the confetti part. So the confetti part is, yes, it takes time to do these areas. And also, can you see here, there is the shadow of a man. Again, it's not that easy to see once you look really close up, but if you look far away, you're able to see that there is a man standing there, which is really cool. And yeah, I just love the way this is forming. So what I did was I did a whole diagonal down, and then I did a couple of shorter diagonals so I could start to bring out these details which have got the little cafe part. Now this is really exciting for me to get to this, because I spent so long at the top of this chart working on the trees that it nearly killed me. I just was tree for weeks and weeks. And whilst I really did love working with those colours, there were points where I felt like I was going to go mad, because yeah, I felt like I was just like a cat stuck in the tree. I was never going to come down. And yeah, you know, it's like sometimes you need a break, which is why I had the goal of finishing a lot of the top section of the tree, and I stuck to it, but I was also able to rotate it with a couple of others that I've got in the picture. But if I start to bring too many into the rotation, I start to get lost, I get confused, I get a little bit, I don't know, I feel like I'm getting a little bit overwhelmed. So I want to keep it, I think 3 or 4 at a period of time is okay. I mean, I can always switch them whenever I want to. So depending on how I feel, I can just, you know, put all of them, I could even put this one aside, put all of them aside. I say, right, let's get 4 different ones to work on or to focus on. But for the time being, I seem to be quite happy plodding along with these ones. And of course, as well, my fruits of plenty, which I don't have with me at the moment, I'm going to have to go and find it and come back and show you because I've put everything on the desk except the fruits of plenty. So wherever it is, I'm going to have to go and find it. But what I'll do is I'll show you first also my little new start, which I made, which I did the other night. Just because I wanted something small, maybe something that I could travel with if I decided to go somewhere and want to put, I'm like, I don't think that this is going to be a great travel piece. I nearly always stitch this in my Lowry stand. In fact, I stitch all of these that I've just shown you in my Lowry stand. They're not that easy to stitch at my sofa or anything without any kind of stand to hold them upright, because I like to work, you know, going behind and working two-handed basically. So yeah, this is coming along lovely, and obviously the more you work on something, the quicker it's going to progress. You know, even if it's just 100 stitches or even if it's just 50 stitches, everything you do, even if it's small increments more frequently, it makes a difference at the end of the day. So I do try to touch upon this one. My original goal was 1,500 a week. That hasn't happened this week. didn't happen last week, but I'm not going to beat myself up about it. There was, you know, interruptions. There's been stuff going on, good stuff, bad stuff. And, you know, that's just life. So we have to deal with life first before we deal with our hobbies, because if we just ignored everything going on around us, like our families and everything, and stitch, we would just, you know, that wouldn't be the right thing. So this had to go on the back burner a few days where I couldn't get to it due to other stuff, appointments going on and school stuff. There's been a lot of school meetings lately, which has been a bit crazy. A lot of school meetings, which I didn't expect to have either. Yeah, so things crop up that you have to deal with, right? You just can't say every day is going to be a stitchy day and do nothing else. It's just sometimes you're going to be busier than other times. But for the most part, I feel like I'm making good, steady progress, and that makes me happy, because I don't feel like I've just got these things gathering dust in a corner, you know. And I know that I will get back to other whips, some of the other ones as well. Maybe not all of them. Some of them are just going to be UFO'd, because yeah, that happens as well. But we'll see. I know there was a sale on in Heaven and Earth Designs recently, and I was telling everyone about it, and then I felt kind of like, you know what, I haven't purchased a Heaven and Earth design for ages, and I don't really want to buy another huge pattern that's going to take me another 10 years on top of the 10 years on top of the other 10 years. I want to start something very different again from what I have, but I want to start something small that I can travel with, that I can go, you know, and just pick up and do anywhere in the bed, without having to worry about it being so big and cumbersome. And it's by Jena Dellagrottaglia, I think it is. I think I just murdered her name. And I'll put a link down below if you want to go and see. Okay, so I'm going to put up on the screen the cute little ornament that I decided to do. There is a no background version, and I did actually think about buying the no background version, but I'm so rubbish at choosing fabrics. I don't know anything about choosing nice fabrics. I don't know where to get them from in the UK. I'm just rubbish. If anybody out there has got any good links to good fabrics that have nice, you know, hand dyed stuff on it and reasonably priced, please post a link for me, because I looked around, wasn't sure what was going on Etsy. I don't know if I can trust half the shops. And yeah, where do you get your hand dyed fabrics from if you live in the UK or in the rest of Europe? Like, again, I don't even know about shipping, etc. Anyway, apart from that, I decided not to get the no background in the end, because then I would have to wait again for fabric to arrive, blah blah blah. And I just wanted to sit down on a Friday night and get stuck into something small. So here is where I got to. It's not much, but it's something. And I had to wrap my head around working in a sort of oval shape, which I haven't done before. And you'd be surprised how challenging that can be, because when you're used to working in squares and blocks, suddenly knocking off those few stitches around the square is just like a sudden, really difficult mathematical equation. It's like, what's going on here? And it's so simple. It's just basically just do the stitches that you have to do. But I'm thinking, oh my God, where's the rest of the stitches? They're not there. But of course they're not there because it's not square. It's going to be an oval shape or round shape or whatever it is. So I thought the best thing I can do is just start on the left and do as I normally do, which is parking, and just work in rows across and just count down from the top. So I just count down from the top and do the 8th stitch and the 10th stitch only, and then move to the next square, do those lower stitches, then move to the next square. That kind of worked for my brain a bit better, because I was still kind of doing blocks, but I wasn't filling in the whole square. So that didn't confuse me as much. So here we've got loads of lovely peaches. I can't believe there's like still 90 colours in this piece. I hope it's going to look gorgeous. I'm going to love seeing this one in a round mount and a square frame. I think it's going to look pretty cool. But look, these are all different colours. All of these here hanging are all different. Can you believe how many shades of peach can you get? Seriously. So I've got all these different shades of peach, and I'm thinking I better not make a mistake in parking any of these threads, because if you park a thread wrongly that is the same color or similar to 10 other threads around it, oh my goodness, it's game over. It is just so difficult to try and figure out what you've done and what the color is, and then you have to go back and look at your threads to see what color it is, and then you can't tell because it looks the same as the other 10 colors around. It's just a nightmare. So I was really trying to get this parked properly, like counting and recounting where it was parked, and no mistakes, because it's hard to do. It's hard to correct it when all the colors are very similar. So, but here's a little tip. If that happens to you, just snip it off, put it aside, and get the correct color. And then you don't have to, go crazy trying to look for what color it is. And, do that later on when you want to put it back, or just fling it, whatever. But just get the right color again and start again with that stitch. Because, lesson learned. I've sat there for half an hour trying to figure out what color it is, trying to match, say, like a very light green with 10 other light greens, and are still, even under my lamp, I can't tell exactly which one it is. Wasted a whole half hour on one thread. Is it worth it? I don't know. I don't think so. So now I just put it to one side and I go and get the right thread and I redo the stitch again. So just cut it off and redo it. Honestly, it just, don't waste half an hour trying to figure it out. It's not worth it. So yeah, this is the lovely ornament that I have, and I don't know how frequently I'm going to be working this one. Like I said, it's at the moment I am kind of rotating all of these ones that I'm showing you, but I'm not working on all of them every week. So it's maybe I do like 2 full days of one of them, and then I don't do it again for 4 or 5 days. Maybe I do all of them in 2 days. It's just very random at the moment. So it's kind of in between everything else that's going on in my life, all the other stuff. I'm picking up the stitching and working on it here and there and everywhere. So they're always in the Q snaps, so I can just pick one up, work on it, put it down, etc, etc. Okay, so that's the lovely little butterfly, and I have this in mind to be gifted to somebody, to a friend, and let's see when that will happen. It could be the end of the year, could be next year, I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to switch off for a moment to go and fetch my Fruits of Plenty by Modern Folk Embroidery, which I have forgotten to bring to the table. So just bear with me a second. I'll be right back. Okay, that was quick. Well, it wasn't that far away. So the next one I'm going to show you, I'm going to put another little picture up on the screen, is called Fruits of Plenty by Modern Folk Embroidery. Very popular website with some wonderful samplers. I'm not a huge sampler person, I have to say, but I absolutely adore and admire other samplers that I see people do. And this one just kind of tickled my fancy a little bit. And I think it was a sale in 2021, I believe. So if you want to go and check it out, the website is Modern Folk Embroidery. It's very easy to find. And yeah, there's another new sale, I think, for 2023, which I might get round to in 2030. Who knows? But let's see. This is Modern Folk Embroideries, Fruits of Plenty. And here is the project in my Nerge. If anybody uses a Nerge frame, this is what it looks like. Apparently they've got numbers. This is number 40 or something like that. They've got different numbers for different sizes, I imagine. And it is so good. These frames are so good because they are really quite good for tightness. But anyway, not talking about the frame, let's talk about the project. So Fruits of Plenty, let's see what progress I got done. I'm going to have to move it this way. So what I did in April, I think, was I finished this section up here, and I think I'd already done what's on the left, if you could see from the picture before. I started working on this flower here, and I've also started working on this border coming down. And I'll tell you something about this. This is really scary to work on when you get big long straight lines like this, because you have to count so many times to make sure you haven't messed it up. And I'm always sure when I'm doing it that I've added an extra stitch or I've forgotten to do a stitch, and it becomes really scary. So what I try to do is, like, at the moment I'm trying to do a lot of the center piece so that I can count from the center out, and that would make it easier to not make a mistake, I think, because I've got markers there that I can, I can gauge how many stitches are around it. So if I just continue like all the way down here with this line and then turn in and start stitching, the chances of me making a mistake are huge. So I'm going to try and fill in the middle and then add the borders after. That's just the way my brain thinks it's easier. It might not work that way for other people. This is a 16 count Ada. It's nothing special, but I just love the colour. And to me, at the moment, it looks green. To many other people, it looks grey. And to some people, and to me, on some occasions, looks blue. So it really is one of those very odd fabrics that can look blue, grey, green, depending on the light that's hitting it. And I've got two colours, which are, is it 3808, I think, and just bright white, just a white colour, blank, because I wanted the sharp contrast between dark and light. So that's how far I've got with this one. And yeah, I haven't got too much done. This is my Sunday piece. I usually work on this one on a Sunday evening. I find it really relaxing to just make give it a day and say, this is the day I'm going to work on this one, and maybe sit and watch TV at the same time. Yeah, it's a lovely piece to work on. It really is. I enjoy working on it. So that's all my whips that I have to show you at the moment. There's nothing else that I've worked on that I can show you. Let's see. So coming into May, I know that a lot of people kind of have mania plans, and mania plans means different thing to different people. For some people, mania is starting new projects throughout the whole month. For other people, it's just working monogamously. It just depends. Mania really is whatever you want to do for mania, and that's really good too, because you don't have to stick to just one rule. I don't really know. I think for the moment I'm just going to keep chugging along with what I'm doing, because I don't see that there's anything wrong with the method that I'm working at the moment, and it's not, and I'm doing it, which is the main thing. Because I'm actually doing it means I'm enjoying it. If I wasn't doing it, I would be saying, well, maybe it's time to change my plan a little bit or do something different, because I'm not stitching much. Because I am quite keen on picking up all the pieces I'm doing at the moment, there's no real need to change. So yeah, that's everything that I have to show you. And this video has actually gone on a bit longer than I anticipated, because I thought it was going to be really, really short. It's actually not that short. So I have to say thank you for sticking with me and for coming back and looking at everything that I've worked on. I do appreciate your company. And again, I love to get your comments, which I have been receiving many throughout the month. So it's really nice to touch base with you all again. And wherever you're watching from, I hope you're doing well and that you're enjoying your stitching and that you are, healthy and happy. Everything's going fine. I've got a few little hiccups, but I'm hoping that things will improve. The weather's been a bit drab. There's been a few health issues. So fingers crossed, I'll just get over a few slumps and things will be well. And when the good weather comes in, I'll be able to go and spend more time, not exactly on the beach in Scotland, but a bit more traveling and stuff like that. Might actually be nice. And I'm really looking forward to the summer. So until I next see you again, my friends, with a stitch with me, hopefully, or I'll just come back and show you my progress. Have a happy weekend. It's a long weekend here, so I've still got a couple of days to enjoy. And I'll see you all again next time. Take care and bye for now.